Hi, my name is Janice Mars Wunderlich, and I'm a local artist. I mostly do sculpture, but I like to play around with all different kinds of materials. And today I want to talk with you about a different material for art making than you might think. These are army guys. So I just got my load of army guys in a bag here, and I am going to have some fun with them today, and hopefully you will too. So the whole point of army guys, right, is that you set them up and you can play with them, put them in all sorts of war positions, and you can have these battles with them. Well, I like the idea that we don't have to play the way the toy manufacturers want us to play, but we can be creative and come up with our own stories and our own ideas for how we want to play and what we want these guys to do. The awesome thing about these is that they're already figures, right? You see they're little human beings, and some of them have weapons on them, and some of them are just in sort of strange positions, but they're already people, and people can be so much fun to play with and to manipulate and to tell a story with. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So you should have, for supplies, your bag of army people, and then any sort of extra things that you might have. Like I like to have pipe cleaners. If you have some pipe cleaners handy, those are great to use. If you have any fabric or ribbon scraps, those are really great because you can cut them up. If you have old photographs of your family or friends, those are fantastic. What I like to do is I like to take old Christmas cards that people send me, and I hang on to them because I can cut out their faces, especially these are my family and friends. So I'll cut out their faces and I can put them on army people so that I can make a little family portraits and play around with them. So if you have old Christmas cards, old photographs, stickers are great. Even ads or newspapers. If you have any old, the Fairway ad right here. If you have an old grocery store ad, you can cut up the pictures of the food and you can have all sorts of fun making food people. Another good supply to have is any yarn if you have it, or pom-poms. I'm reaching in. I've got this bucket of pom-poms right here. So you can have all sorts of fun using pom-poms. So you also probably want to get some scissors if you don't have them already, and you're going to want some sort of glue or tape or adhesive. You can use a glue gun. That's the fastest way to stick things together to these plastic guys, but the problem with glue guns is that you can burn yourself if you're not careful. So I like to use just regular glue that doesn't get hot, and then I use tape sometimes too, or duct tape works really well. In fact, I have some fun colored duct tape that I found. You could use that as well if you have some. But this is all about taking stuff that you already have and having fun with it. All right, and it's also about thinking outside the box or doing something completely different. We don't have to play battles with these people. We can make them do all sorts of fun things. So let's talk about that for a minute. What exactly can you do with an army guy? All right, well, there are a lot of things you can dream up for these people. If you think about what's going on in our world today, think about what you've been doing for the last week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's weird because of coronavirus, so there aren't as many normal summer activities, so you may not be swimming at the pool or playing at the park. However, you could make your army people do that. So how would we go about making this person, for instance, be a swimmer instead of being an army guy? So the first thing you'd want to do maybe is take away his weapon. And the nice thing about these little plastic guys is that they're really cheap, and the plastic is really easy to cut, so I can actually just cut his gun right out. So he doesn't have a weapon anymore. You can't tell me how to play with these. I'm going to make my own way. So here we go, cutting him off there. So there we go. Now he's without that, but he needs some swimming trunks if he's going to go to the public pool. So how could we make swimming trunks for him? If you have ribbon or yarn or even paper, any scraps of paper, I have some construction paper here. You could certainly just take a scrap of paper and you could cut out a pair of shorts for your guy or lady. That's another thing too, is that they don't always have to be guys, right? And all I have to do is glue those on and he's got a nice pair of swim trunks. And I can think of something cool to put in his hand, maybe a squirt gun, maybe the garden hose, but he's doing something at the pool, maybe a beach ball. So you can think about how you want to dress and accessorize each one of these. Now, part of the fun of making these all do different things and with different accessories is that when you're all done, the other half of the fun after decorating them is telling stories with them. So you can set them up. I love to go outside to my backyard in the grass and set them all up and then get my phone and I can put it up right next to them and I can tell a story of them playing around or doing things in the grass, hunting or searching for tigers or swimming in the pool, and I can make all those things happen just in the grass in my backyard with these little tiny army people. Okay, so think about the stories that you might want to tell, because that's going to direct how you might want to accessorize your army people. So one thing I thought of that's really fun is I love to listen to music, and I thought a lot of these army, when you look at the poses of these army people, you can see they're doing different things. They're holding these weapons, and they're kind of holding them in a way you might hold a guitar or some sort of an instrument. So one idea that I thought of was, what if instead of army guys marching, that they're a marching band marching and playing instruments instead? So it's real easy to take a piece of paper and to draw a picture of an instrument. And if you need to look, you can always Google what a guitar looks like or what an alto saxophone looks like. And you can draw things, but you could also find things. I love to use food. If you have like pretzel sticks or something, you can also use those. But you can just use paper and scraps and you can draw little instruments. So in this case, I've drawn, you can see he used to be holding a gun, but I changed his gun to a guitar. So now he looks like he's master of the guitar and he's about ready to sort of haul back, and he's, just made this really, really beautiful note on his guitar there. See that? And now he's going to play. So he could be one member of my band, but I'm going to need a whole lot of other members. I'm going to need drummers, maybe a saxophonist, maybe some people playing the flute. So how can we make those things? Obviously, it's really easy. I just cut out a piece of paper and drew with a marker to make this little guitar. Can you see that? There we go. But you could also use, if I took a toothpick and cut this, and you can just cut a toothpick or break it, but you can cut through it with a pair of scissors, just like that. And you could make a pair of drumsticks just by making a couple of cuts with toothpicks. There we go. Alright, so now I've got some drumsticks for my drummer. And now I just need to look through the bag and find one that has his hands. Here we go. This guy has his hands out. So I could cut off his gun, and instead I could glue on drumsticks. And then I could just find if you have a little thimble or something else that's circular, or again, you can always draw it, and give him a little snare drum. He's going to be all ready for this marching band. Alright, so a marching band is one idea, or even like a symphonic band with violins and all sorts of fun stringed instruments. So you can do all different things with your army guys. But don't forget, you can also have fun with them. So just think about if this was a punk rock guitarist, or if this was a crazy guitarist, maybe he would have a crazy pink afro. And so I could take my pom-pom and I can glue that right on. So check him out now. He's so much better. But also, if you have acrylic paints, you can paint this figure's body so it's not green anymore. And but you can also use ribbons. I've got some fun ribbon here. So I might just take a colored ribbon. Actually got some rainbow ribbon here. And I could make a pair of pants for this person here. So a pink hair and maybe a nice outfit, maybe some pants made of this fabric, and they're going to be looking real good for the party, so, or for the concert. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out this ribbon and make a cool outfit and maybe some cool pants. I'm going to cut it in half here. So what I can do is I can take this half and wrap it around, kind of like a rainbow pants, and I put the fuzzy part here that was fraying down at the bottom. And you can glue that if you have glue, or tape it if you have tape, but you can do the same thing on the other side, and you can get them looking really fancy for the party. You can also glue that right on there, and there we go. Awesome rainbow musician. Alright, so we have marching band, orchestra. What else can we do with these army people? Well, if you have pipe cleaners, you could bend one around, and it doesn't take much to find one that looks like maybe he or she is skipping rope. So here we have this jump rope person, and maybe you can sort of set him up here, and think about if he's at the park playing, who's going to be with him, and you can think about maybe making a story with these people. So here we go. I found a couple of army guys that are facing each other, and I used pipe cleaner to and with pipe cleaner you don't have to glue or anything, you just bend it around, and maybe they're playing double dutch, right? So here we have them, and I just hooked that around, and now I just need to find an army person that looks like he's jumping or has got his arms outstretched, and I can give him a nice outfit or maybe some funky pom-pom hair, and I can put him somewhere right here in the middle like he's jumping or skipping rope. And again, if you don't want this cumbersome gun right here, you can just cut it right off. You can also make it into something else, like maybe you want to make it into a flower or something, or a lollipop, something that that this person is holding, and that's fine too, but I'm just going to chop it off because why not? There we go. Alright, it's funny, some of the army people come already sort of chopped up, like some of them are missing heads or arms or legs, so you can always be creative with those and turn them into something fun, or you can recreate hands for them or recreate a head for them or feet. Alright, so here we have them maybe at school in the playground or at the playground playing jumping rope and playing double dutch. So what else can we do with these army people? We've got them set up there maybe at the park. Let's see, lately there have been peaceful protests of people trying to change the world and make it better. So you could create a whole bunch of people having a peaceful protest. So what do we need for a peaceful protest? Well, you need a cause, right? So think about what cause it is that you're working for. If your cause is peace, or there's all different social causes. Black Lives Matter. You can make a peaceful protest with people. So instead of army guys fighting, you've got peaceful protesters. So here we have a peaceful protester. And I just drew these real quickly, but you could color them in with rainbow colors and make them all awesome. And you could figure out what cause you want your group to be protesting peacefully, and you can set them all up. Now, if they're current, they're going to probably want to wear masks. So you might want to take a little tiny piece of ribbon or a tiny piece of paper, and you could create a little tiny mask for them to put on, so they can be current with the time, because we don't want anybody to get germs, right? So that would definitely be something fun and something that is current with our time period. Alright, so we could do a whole bunch of these, and you can march them down the street. You can take them out to the grass, and you can make a story about them making a difference in the world of nature with their peaceful protests. Maybe you want to think about a protest of protesting mosquitoes. So you're going to dress these people all up like bugs. Like maybe you're going to take a whole bunch of pom-poms and turn this into Captain Caterpillar. And Captain Caterpillar is going to get together with Captain Ladybug, and they're going to have a protest to tell the mosquitoes to not come this summer because we don't want to get mosquito bites. So you get to play your own, you have your own protest and figure out what they're protesting. All right, another idea with Army guys. Another thing you can do, you can have a fashion show with your Army people. Get them all accessorized. So I have some of this lace here, so you could do this beautiful like wedding fashions. I have all different kinds of fabrics, and you don't even really need to sew or glue. You can just wrap the fabric around and pretty easily get them fashioned out with your ribbon. You can also use, if you have old clothing that your parents don't mind if you cut them up or rip them up. This was from an old dress that didn't fit me anymore, so I just cut off this ribbon, and now I can chop it into parts and I can put it on the different Army people, so that now they have a cool, colorful skirt to wear when they go out to their to the party. All right, there we go. So it doesn't take much time to fabric them all out and make them beautiful. All right, and you could sort of walk with them down the runway once they have their fancy clothes on. Like here's one. And you can set up outside or set up in your driveway, and you can make them saunter down the runway showing off their awesome new outfit. All right, so fashion show. Another thing you can have fun with is thinking about football games, and maybe you could set them up to be all soccer players on a soccer team. Gosh, when you do soccer, you need a lot of players on your team, so you can have them all, and you can cut off their weapons, and you can paint them so that they all have the right color jersey, or you can put some ribbon on, like maybe this is going to be the purple team right here. And you need to find something for a ball, a soccer ball. You can draw one if you want to, or you can find a little ball of something somewhere. You could even use a pom-pom. But if you wrap ribbon around and tape that on there or glue that on, then you know this is part of the purple team. So if you have a football team or a soccer team, you can also have cheerleaders cheering. And if you have pom-poms, it's really fun to, let's see if I can find two pom-poms that, they don't even need to, I was going to say two pom-poms that match, but you don't even need to do matching ones, because what if your school colors are white and blue? Then you can put them on and just find one of your Army people that have outstretched arms like this, and you're going to glue a pom-pom here and a pom-pom there, and you can have a cheerleader who's all excited. And you can, of course, paint with acrylics, again, on the body of the soldier so that it becomes more color coordinated. You can also put a skirt on if you want to have them have a skirt, in case you want to have it be a girl cheerleader, or you can make it a guy cheerleader. So lots of fun things that you can do to make up stories with these Army people, with these soldiers. Another fun thing you can do is that you can make a family portrait. If you have a picture of everyone in your family, then you can take it and, like my brother sent me a card for Christmas, and all their faces are on it, and I've been cutting out their faces to use their faces on the soldiers. And it's kind of funny because they're not quite the right size. So if you look at this, this is my nephew, Taylor here, and you can see he's a little bit, his face is a little bigger probably than it should be for the army guy, but it's kind of fun that way. So I'm going to make a whole series of them and make them like a movable family portrait, and then I can take them out into the backyard and set them up in a fun place by a tree or something like that, or even in a tree. And I can take their picture, and it can be my alternative family portrait, and then I can send it to them and show them what strange creative things I'm doing with their Christmas card that they sent me this year. So there we go. Can you see that? It looks pretty cool, and that's just from a Christmas card. And like I said, you can either tape these or glue these on to make sure that they stay. Now, you don't always have to use pictures or photos. You can also, here's another one I did of my nephew. That one has a smaller face, and I cut that again from the Christmas card that they sent me. So it's a good use of these sorts of things if you have those. But you can see how cute. This is another one of my nephews, and you can see how funny he looks. See if I can get him there we go, in focus for you. But now I'm going to change it so he's not holding a gun. I think I might make it so that he's holding a giant lollipop because he loves treats and sweets. So I think his name is Lincoln. So I think Lincoln would really like that. Another fun thing I could do is I could make him dressed up like President Lincoln because that's who he's named after. So I could, out of black construction paper, I could cut out a little hat or a big hat. That's how Abraham Lincoln had it. And I could also make a beard, and I could dress him in black, and I could have all sorts of fun with this to make him look like Abe Lincoln. And then I can make a story up with him outside and sort of have fun play with these. What else can you do? Well, people don't always have to have heads or faces. They can be alternative, right? This is your world and your time to be creative. So if you have any wiggle eyes, you can put wiggle eyes on your people and make a whole army of wiggle eye creatures, maybe aliens, and maybe they're here, and maybe he's going to be holding, or she's going to be holding a giant flower or a lollipop, something that I can do instead of that gun. Or maybe actually, I think this one might need to be holding an instrument, because don't you think he's kind of looks like it may be holding a guitar? So I think I might draw a little guitar there for this person. But see how fun they are, and I just took a wiggle eye and stuck it on there, so I can rename this creature like the Wiggle Eye Man. Alright, if your mom or dad have any old crafts at home, or any buckets full of beads, or any old jewelry, things like that, those are really fun to use for materials that you can cut up and put onto your soldiers to make them interesting. So one thing I did was I took a Fairway ad and I cut out some food from the Fairway ad. So here's my Fairway ad here. So I found some food that looks good to me and it has meaning. So I just cut out a corn on the cob, and every day when I go out running, I go into the cornfields, and there are so many cornfields around here. And so to me, when I think of this area of Illinois, I think of corn. So why not have an army of corn? You can probably find lots of pictures of corn and cut them out. Now I just cut this out of the grocery shopping ad, but you can also draw them or find them online and print them out. But then I want to find some soldiers here, and I can either have them holding it like they're coming to the picnic. And that's another thing you can do with these. You can be like, hey, we're going to have a picnic. Want to come? And this can be our 4th of July picnic. And of course, it's kind of funny because this ear of corn is so much bigger than the soldier. So we can either make the soldier holding it, or you could make the soldier turn into a corn on the cob, which is also kind of fun. Like, you know, I invited Corny to our party. So here's Corny coming to the party. So, and you can always take your Sharpie marker or another marker, and you can draw a face. It's easier to draw the face and to get it all ready before you glue it on to your army person. But there we go, there's one. You could also do, I just cut out this bratwurst from the ad, and you could either make him holding it like, dang, I just got the world's biggest bratwurst for dinner, and you can make him holding it, or you can turn him into one, right? And you can make an army of food creatures that you can play around with, and you can march them all to the picnic. Oh yeah, and here's another thing that I cut out. And it's always good to cut out a little more precisely. I just did this really quick, but I cut out a big thing of ketchup. And of course, it's kind of funny when, you know, the army people, the soldiers here are kind of small, but they could be holding this giant ketchup. Or they could be the giant ketchup. And you can even cut off both of his arms, just with scissors. And then you can play Invasion of the ketchup person. So there we go. I'm just going to take some tape because that's fast. And I'm going to tape it up here to the army guy. There we go. And so now I have ketchup, and of course these soldiers all have, they've got these feet that you can stand them up, so kind of fun that you can have. So I could actually have a little battle if I wanted to go that way, between the bratwurst and the ketchup, or they could be best friends, right? And they're going to work together to make the best meal ever. All right, so you get the idea. It's a lot of fun to make your own stories, and also it's fun to think about quirky or different narratives. You know, I've never heard a story before of the ketchup who marched into the woods. So you make up these stories, and it's really fun to get creative and to think of the stories. All right. Other things that you can do with these, you can dress them up like circus clowns. That's really easy to do if you have a bunch of pom-poms, because these kind of look like funny wigs, and you can put them, glue them right on the heads of these soldiers. So that's certainly one thing you can do. But it's really fun to tell stories with them once you've made them. So don't think that you have to have a normal story like a regular fairy tale or like a Disney story. You can make your very own stories, and they can be silly, or they can be sad. They can be about your own real life, or they can be about alien creatures that no one's ever heard of. And you can tell the stories through these little figures. So you're going to get them. So I've got my fashion person, and I've got my ketchup person, and I've got my jump roper, and I've got some pom-poms. Maybe they're setting up a game of some sort that they're going to play. And if it's nice weather, you can take this outside and set them up, out in the dirt or in the driveway or in the grass or at the park. But if it's rainy or too hot outside, you can also set them up at home. And you can even use other toys if you have Legos or other things that you can set up and build their environment. You can also create backdrops for them. If you have some paper, you could very easily create even a stage with create a stage, and when you can set up a phone to video record your story. And if you want to, you can write your story out ahead of time, or you can think about the things that you want to say in your story or the big event that you want to have happen. And so you can set it up and video record it, and this can be your stage backdrop. Or you can always create things like, I'm going to take this. I'm just going to make a really quick little house here, a little red house that belongs to the ketchup monster. The ketchup monster lives here with his 3 children who are little balls of ketchup squirts. Here's one coming out right now. Mommy, Daddy! So you can build a story just by cutting things out of paper and holding them up, or you can tape them up to a wall, to a background, so that you can tell your story. And here I've got, this person is wearing, the soldier's got lace on, so maybe this can be, maybe she's getting ready to marry the ketchup guy, and I can have all sorts of fun creating my own interesting narrative. So all you need is stuff you have, glue, paper, scraps, anything like that, and see if you can come up with the wildest, craziest story, and see what you can do besides playing just regular army guys, which, that's fun too. But see what you can do about alternatives for creating your own story, your own narratives tell your own fun, quirky stories using soldiers. So I hope that you have fun with this project, and I hope you have a great time telling your story. I'm Janice Wunderlich, and I'm glad to be able to talk to you about this fun project.